This has been the toughest assignment this week to figure out what we could possibly talk about. This is a Florida State football show, and I'm just not coming up with anything this week. So we'll wing it. We got Florida State Seminoles live here with Logan Robinson from Knoll Game Day and Jason Parker from Chop Chat. And, of course, yes, I know your head coach got the axe on Sunday. Willie Taggart, who I've been touting as the best coach in the ACC, somehow was let go following a 4-5 start and a 27-10 loss to Miami. Jason, how you doing today?
Wait, he got fired?
I don't think you didn't get the news, Jason. Oh man, I forgot to text you, Jason. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got it right now. Great.
Did you just now get the text? You still have that flip phone, right?
No, I have it with a nice Seminole cover. I got the iPhone 7 right there.
Wow.
It has definitely been a 4 or 5 days to forget in the capital city and throughout the entire state. There are a lot of questions about the future, and we'll go over them in the next hour. But yes, the future is definitely going to be interesting with the Garnet and Golds.
Mm-hmm. Well, talking about Taggart, I'm also going to shout out to the Miami fans that are already in the chat. Good to see them hanging out with us tonight. Y'all show what starts in an hour or so, but good to see y'all hanging out with us. Yes, we know Florida State had a tough loss, and that's probably the main part where Florida State let go of Willie Taggart. But yeah, it's crazy right now in Tallahassee. Something that I've never witnessed. I'm a youngin, and it's weird. It's odd. The whole town now is wanting to know everything. Who's got the nuggets? Who's got all the rumors? And I'm sure we'll get into all that kind of jazz. But Willie Taggart. What sucks about it is and then the whole nation knows it too, but Willie Taggart is a good man. He came in to try to do the right thing and, work with these kids and bring a positive impact to them. And he got very close with them too early on. And so it's probably very rough for some part of, I've heard some different things going on, but for some of these recruits coming in, definitely Willie Taggart's, they have a very close connection with them. And so it's very tough, I'm sure, for those players. Some might think the other way, and I'm sure we'll get into that in a few.
So I want to underline what Logan just hit on in regards to Willie Taggart, because I have certainly had a number of people that have capitalized on my criticism of Willie Taggart's coaching on the field and his running of the program. Let's not get that confused with my admiration for Willie Taggart, the person, and that I do believe that he has forged a strong head coaching record through the 4 schools that he's coached. Overall, I think he's been shown to be a very good football coach at this level. I just don't think that he did a very good job at this university. But in regards to my respect for the man as an individual, that certainly can't be denied in any way. I think, like Logan pointed out, by every indication, he has cared about the young men. He has been a fine role model as a coach, instructor, and father figure for many of these kids who come into a football program like this, needing that type of a leader and mentor.
And we've talked about this before, but the show and how much of a disaster it was before he took over, and as it's been coming out about the graduation rates being the worst amongst any of the Power 5 schools. You almost have to feel a little bit sorry for him. And let's not forget about this. Whether you liked him or not, and we'll talk about this as it goes on, a man lost his job. A man lost his job over football games, over activities. Let's put it in reality. Before you make fun of the man, before you take shots at the man because he had a 9-12 record at Florida State, a man lost his job this week. So put your life in perspective there on that one.
We can also understand the man lost his job after losing, 12 games out of 21 starts. Few of us, though, lose our jobs and then are handed $17 million.
Okay.
That doesn't happen too often.
And I'm sure he would still be glad to still coach the Florida State.
Absolutely. There is an integrity aspect to it and a respect aspect, and the embarrassment or humiliation of not being able to complete the mission and do the job and be the person and the coach that you were hired to be. Yes, no dollar value can get you past that, but that is a bit of a consolation.
Mark, I got 53 minutes to rip on you for your hatred of him, so it's fine. So let's move on. Let's talk about the Miami game, then we'll come back.
Don't fuel that, Jason. People leave that enough out there anyway. They have completely misinterpreted what I've said. Some people, a few people out there, about Willie Taggart.
I'm literally sitting there. I'm on the field shooting the game there, and all I'm thinking as Miami scoring a touchdown at the end of the game is thinking, okay, Mark Rogers is loving this. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, he's loving this. And then as I'm on the turnpike, sick to my stomach, more on that later on shopchat.com, we are literally like, I'm thinking that this is Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. This is your Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Ramadan, every holiday wrapped into one for you was this weekend in Tallahassee. Florida State getting embarrassed by their rival, regressing really, and then the coach that you have loved to hate gets fired. Let's move on. Let's go on. I'm not going to rip on you too much. We got 51 minutes. Let's go on.
I just need to respond because I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about the Miami game just a tad bit, but I do want to shout out Anthony. Energy's still here. It's actually full force. I got a good grade on my midterm, but he asked, does the humble pie go well with the natty light? It goes better with the natty ice, which what I was drinking last Wednesday for sure. But yeah, congrats to y'all. Hope y'all enjoying the chat box on this beautiful. What are y'all gonna do for the next 2 hours? Nothing.
I can't wait till Miami plays FIU here, and then there's more FIU grads rooting for Miami than their actual school. I can't wait for that in 2 weeks. It's gonna be awesome inside Marlins Park. That's gonna be amazing. Yeah, that was a shot fired at them. So moving on.
It's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We do this each and every Wednesday night and not talk about a coach's firing. We don't need to do that every Wednesday night, but who knows? So this is what it is. Florida State Seminoles live, 7 o'clock Eastern time every Wednesday night with Logan Robinson from Knoll Game Day. And check out Chop Chat's Jason Parker as well, who's playing hurt for us tonight.
You know what? I mean, Cal Ripken played injured. He came in, but, I got to come in sick. Yeah, that's what we got to do. This is how we do it. Wait, they should make a song about that. They should make a song about that.
Gamer, a warrior, Mr. Jason Parker.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, so Willie Taggart, let's get past the actual fact of him being fired and move on to, should he have been let go at this point? I was telling people as the hot seat was getting hotter that unless there was a catastrophic finish to the season, that Jason, are you listening to this? Mm-hmm. I would have kept him through this season, and then I would have been very clear to him what the expectations would have been for 2020.
Oh, and I agree.
I would have kept him. I think that the season most likely would have ended with a 7-5 or 6-6 type finish. And there you go. I would have laid it out for him what I would have expected to see out of this team and program over the next year for him to maintain his job after 2020. But I would have kept him around. We
wrote this on Shop Chat yesterday, and I wrote a very scathing article. And I'm about to rip on the boosters a little quick bit here on this one. So I know Logan and the rest of the FSU fan base, you guys might want to get your popcorn ready because I'm going to rip on my alma mater here. Yeah.
I'm going to mute my mic.
It's embarrassing that he was fired 21 games into his tenure as the FSU coach. It's embarrassing. And I'll say it like this. We'll talk about the Miami game a little bit. The Miami game was frustrating because the Miami game was a regression. And you saw what happened. The Miami game was like the Virginia Tech game last year, the Syracuse game last year. Miami is not a 17-point better team than Florida State. Florida State played like a crappy 17-point worse team than Miami. If that game is played again, yeah, Miami's going to win maybe half of them, but it's not going to be in the blowout fashion. That's their biggest win over FSU since 2001. So, but you understand where the pressure was going on to Willie after that game and how it was pretty much it was almost over. You saw it coming. I personally think that it's disgusting if the reports came true as reported in ESPN.com on Sunday that the boosters in about a week period of time reportedly raised. Yes, and I still say that Willie Taggart. It's, by the way, you completely.
Willie Taggart's a better coach than Mac Brown.
Yes, he's 100%. Jesus Christ, learn how to spell his name right. Good Lord.
I am certainly the one who said that Mac Brown and Scott Satterfield were better coaches than Willie Taggart. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? We all make some statements that are wrong. MarkRogersTV, the West College Football. Back to what I was saying. If the reports are true, and FSU's denying it, but where there's smoke, there's fire. If the boosters were able to raise $20 million to both buy out Willie Taggart's contract as well as put money towards hiring the supposed firm that's going to help them in finding the next coach, that's disgusting. It's disgusting because this is the same booster club that has talked about, oh, we need a football-only facility. Well, I'm sorry, we're now 2 full-time head coaches through since that conversation started, and we still haven't gotten it. This is a booster club that talks about all this stuff we want, but then they drag their feet. But, and I'm going to say it, and it's something that needs to be brought up, and I know that we're 3 white males right here, so it's weird to hear somebody say it. If Willie Taggart was white, Willie Taggart would still be the coach at Florida State. And I wrote that yesterday. Let me finish, please. If Willie Taggart was a white coach with a 9-12 record, and I'm going to throw out one name to you, Gene Chizik. Gene Chizik at Iowa State. What was his record at Iowa State before he got the job at Auburn? And he got a promotion. So that's number 1. Number 2.
Iowa State.
That's fine.
Florida State.
This is not the same Florida State team, and this is something that boosters and a lot of the FSU fans that I hear in the stands at these games, and I talk to, and the ones who read ShopChat.com, and I'm sure Logan has this on Noel Game Day as well. The dynasty era doesn't exist. The dynasty era was 2 decades ago. This is not the same Florida State team that was the top 5 team for 14 straight seasons, won 2 national titles. We need to accept that right now this is a rebuilding program. We are one of the best programs as far as name recognition, but right now we are rebuilding. We've been rebuilding since 2016. And I'll
Where
say
do I begin on this? Keep going.
2016, we get blown out by Louisville. We lose a bad game to North Carolina. We lose to Clemson in a close game that arguably we should have won. So we're 5-3 there. Had we not somehow figured out a way to win those 5 games at the end of the season, coming back to beat North Carolina State, holding on to beat Michigan in the Orange Bowl, then all of a sudden people will start to see the cracks in what FSU was at that time. And then 2017, let's not forget, I'm sorry, Jimbo Fisher was 5-6 before he abandoned ship and took a big payday to Texas A&M, and he needed Odell Higgins to come in and win those 2 games to keep the winning season streak going. I'm not saying Willie Taggart shouldn't have been, I don't want to use the word reprimanded, but should not have been punished for his record. 9-12 is what it is. 9-12, he has a losing record right now. That being said, you cannot fire a coach with 3 games left in the season. I get why they did it. They did it for recruiting purposes. They want to get a coach in place. I'm hearing by at least the bye week before the Florida game, they hope to have a coach, a contract finalized, and a contract signed. You cannot fire this coach at this point, and I stand by my statement. And this statement got multiple FSU alumni, multiple FSU fans who attacked me on Twitter, on our social media accounts for whatnot, throwing out the N-word and whatnot to talk about Willie Taggart. And that's disgusting. And it was the same way in Miami here when Randy Shannon was the coach. You lose games, all of a sudden you're the N-word. That's what it was. Willie Taggart, if Willie Taggart was a white male, he would still be the coach at Florida State, even with a 9-12 record. That's just the cold, hard facts about it.
Logan, I have much to say, but I bring you on here to analyze Florida State football, so I give you the stage first. In any direction, you don't have to address what Jason.
Yeah, I think he explained that take very well, and we can talk about maybe what led to this happening. I think we talked about it all throughout the season. I think in our season preview too for a while was that Florida State needed to find some progress. There needed to be some adjustments made discipline-wise, and some players on the field. Also, penalties. I mean, it just never changed. That was a big effect there. Whenever you're not able to get into your formation, you usually learn that in practice. I mean, even in high school, we would watch film for probably 6 hours a week, we would know where to line up. After a while, I mean, you're in college, you watch film way more than that, and you're still not lining up straight. And that also goes to Kendall Briles too. But I mean, you're the head coach though, and you're still an offensive-minded coach, and at all that didn't help. But of course, looking into the rest of the season too, you lose to Miami embarrassingly, and then I had predicted before the season, and it's most likely still the case and was going to be with Willie Taggart, that they were going to lose to Florida and Gainesville, and that's losing to both rivals back-to-back seasons. I guess you can also say Clemson, but it wasn't even going to be close anyways. And adding all these things together is what definitely led up to the athletic department and the university letting Willie Taggart go. The discipline thing is just, I'm still not understanding players celebrating. You're still down 2 touchdowns and you're still want to go pick fights and even celebrate too. Maybe you did you almost had an interception, or you blocked a pass or whatever, but you're celebrating.
I'm going to stop you right there, because I'm sorry. That's something that bothers me, is people constantly attack Willie Taggart for that. I remember watching Florida State getting murdered by Boston College in 2017. We're down 35-3 and players are still celebrating, make one tackle, do that. We're getting killed by Louisville 63-20, and players are still doing the same crap that they were doing under the Willie Taggart era against Clemson, against Miami, and whatnot. Listen, I agree with you on most of what you said, but my thing is that this. I'll give you an example. I'm sitting there in the stands of the Miami game, and when the offense is doing great things, it's Kendall Briles, you're a genius. Kendall Briles, you're a genius. When the offense gets stopped, when Hornibrook gets sacked, it's literally, this is what I said, what fans were saying there. They're sitting there going, oh, wow, Taggart, you suck. Taggart's not calling the plays. The thing is, Taggart could do no right to a decent amount of the fan base. The fans were sitting there, honest to God, after the first game of the year, complaining about the first game of his tenure, in 2018, complaining about, the amount of rap music being played in the game. Who gives a damn? There's the same amount of rap music that's played at every other school. The difference is schools are winning, and that's what it comes down to. And that's why I get why he got fired. I understand completely. And people, everyone's sitting down there, he got $17 million. Who gives a damn? He'd rather be coaching than just take a quick payday. Any of us would rather be doing our job, if we like our job, than just take one quick payday and be unemployed at that moment. But this is exactly what it goes back to right there. Do you honestly, and I know Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, is going to want to try to argue with me on this one, but I'll ask you this.
I'm not going to try.
I'll ask you this point blank, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. If Willie Taggart was white, or if it was Jimbo Fisher, or if it was anyone else, and they were 9-12 with 3 games left, arguably 2 of them winnable, do you think they would have been fired 21 games into the tenure, or do you think they would have at least been given the chance to finish out the season?
Okay, let's address the race issue. From my perspective, first of all, I don't know. I try to be the last person to try to get into the hearts and minds of individuals and determine what they are thinking or if they have prejudice. I hope that wasn't the case. I would not be shocked. Let's say we discovered that it was the case, that there was some prejudice or racism involved. I would not be shocked or surprised in any way. It goes on in every walk of life, unfortunately, to this day. And I hate to say this to people, it will go on forever to some degree, somewhere. It's unfortunately a fact of life, and that's how some people are just not forward thinking. Some people are just hateful, and racism exists in our society. Was it applied here? I have no idea. I don't see any evidence of it. I will say, Jason and Logan, that every coaching situation, every decision made by that particular administration is a different case scenario. I don't know that we can apply this to other situations. I would not compare a decision that was made on a coach's record and performance at Iowa State and Florida State. Those are entirely different sets of expectations.
Right now, Florida State is what Iowa State was when Gene Chizik was there, and then he gets a promotion to. Would you say that it was a much better promotion from, I believe, what was his record? Was it 9-24 at Iowa State?
Yeah.
To get a promotion to Auburn. That's all I'm saying. I agree with you. I don't think David Coburn and I don't think John Thrasher, who are both white males, fired Willie Taggart because he was black. I think the pressure from a fan base and from a group of influential boosters, I think a decent amount of them, I'm with you. I'm hesitant to call them racist, but I think there has to be some argument that there was a racial undertone because there was not nearly as much of a conversation about a buyout when FSU was 2-5 after 7 games in the 2017 season. It was, okay, let Jimbo Fisher play this out. Let Jimbo Fisher play this out. And he abandoned ship for a big money payday.
Do you know what John Cooper's record was the season he was fired at Ohio State? His regular season record was 8-3, and he got fired because those are the expectations at Ohio State.
He couldn't
finish number 2. He finished number 2 in the country and won a Sugar Bowl and a Rose Bowl the 2 previous seasons to that.
What was his record?
He got fired for going 8-3.
What was his record?
And losing to Michigan.
Bill Curry got fired at Alabama because he couldn't beat Auburn. That's just that. That's how it goes.
Okay.
And I'm going to address this.
Yeah, that's what exactly. You're proving my point. There are different expectations at different jobs.
Well, and I want to touch on the comment that you've left up here right now. If Bob Stoops doesn't come to Florida State, we failed in the coach's search. This is the other problem with doing this move right now. And this is what I go back to. I'm going to say it again. This is not the same Florida State team that was the dynasty era in the late 80s and through the entire 90s. I'll even say to the early part of the 2000s. This is a Florida State team that's rebuilding. This is a Florida State team that, let's admit it, got lucky with the greatest football team in college football history in 2013, and then showed after that, 2014, 2015, 2016. You see the downhill slide after that, winning close games, then losing close games, then getting blown out. And so that's just how it went, how it's gone over the last 6 seasons since that national title season.
Mm-hmm.
If this were 2004, let's say Bobby Bowden retires after 2005, after they beat Virginia Tech in the ACC championship game, lose to Penn State in the Orange Bowl, then you can go out and get guys like Bob Stoops. You can go out and get guys like, you want to argue it. People I've heard say, oh, we should give this money for Nick Saban. Nick Saban's never going to leave Alabama. Bob Stoops is not going to come to Florida State. He could. I could be dead wrong. Would not be the first time I've been wrong here on MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. But it's probably not going to happen. Florida State needs to focus on getting a coach that they can legitimately get who's going to build this up. And there's a couple names we've talked about it. Mark Stoops from Kentucky. He would be my first choice because of the fact of, number one, he has the experience of coaching Florida State. He built those defenses to top 10 defenses his entire time in Tallahassee. He knows how to recruit South Florida, and that's an area that Florida State has to get better at if they want to go back to winning national titles. But Florida State needs to be realistic with where we are right now. Right now, we are a 4-5 team who is going to be lucky to be 6-6 at this point right now. So we need to realize where we are right now and stop saying, oh, well, this is not the Florida State that we're used to. No, this isn't the Florida State that we're used to. This is the Florida State we have now. Live in the present, and the present is right now. We need to realize who we are.
What was the Florida State team and program between, let's say, 2012 and 2016? What happened to that program?
Well, the 2012 season was a decent season, but you lose to a bad NC State team. You lose to a bad NC State team.
Jameis Winston wasn't starting. That's the reason, right?
You get blown up by Florida right there. Then 2013, you have that great team. But look in 2014. 2014 is where you start to see it. 2014 is where you have to come back to beat Miami. You come back to beat Boston College. You come back to beat Louisville. Then 2015, you lose the close games. You lose the close game to Clemson, lose the close game to Georgia Tech, and you lose to Houston in the Peach Bowl. Then 2016, you're getting blown out by Louisville. You're losing to I got to look at their records real quick, but I would say an average North Carolina team. Then 2017, you're getting blown out by Boston College. You're losing all these games. And then last season, and we see how it's gone downhill since that 2013 team.
Okay, I don't call anybody trash. I avoid that term, but Corey Wortman is pointing something out here that I would like to capitalize on this portion of the conversation real quick.
Can I say this real quick right here? If FSU explain Odell Higgins gets love because he played at Florida State. Odell Higgins gets love because he's an All-American at Florida State. I love Odell Higgins to death. Hey, QBs, watch out, my friends. That's Odell. But that's also the problem with this right now. The thought is, okay, we did this in 2017. After Jimbo Fisher left, we were 5-6. We needed a coach to come in. Let's give Odell. Let's give him his chance. Let's give him his chance. The thought, and he won the 2 games, finished that season with a winning record. So the thought is, okay, Odell's going to do it again. He's going to do it again. Well, that season he didn't have to go to Boston College. He didn't have to go to Florida. And that's just in the regular season. Florida State could legitimately finish with another 5-7 season. So that there's Odell Higgins gets a chance to be the interim coach. He's not going to get a chance to be hired as a real coach, which sucks for him. But he gets a chance. He gets the benefit of the doubt because he's a former FSU player. If Odell Higgins went anywhere else, he would not get the same chances he's gotten to now twice be an interim coach.
I don't want to cut you off, Logan. You go. I got a whole lot to say about this. Keep going, Logan.
Oh no, I was gonna go back just to just a tad bit of the Miami game. And something that me and you talked about, Jason, was running that. Maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it was. I was scared that they were going to run that scheme or the offensive package with Cam Akers at Wildcat and run all those plays. They ran about almost every one of them because they seemed, except for 1 or 2, different than what they ran against Miami. Miami knew. I mean, they had that on lockdown. That wasn't going anywhere. That was a maximum security prison. That wasn't even happen in any kind of luck. The only way was that the throwback, all that kind of jazz, that was in a circus act. Lucky play that they even got first down with Terry. The throwback to Hornibrook and all that kind of jazz. That was the only thing that really worked in their favor. Miami knew about it. They watched film, and that was just I don't know how that was a smart idea. Executive. I don't know who made the executive decision there. Of course, I mean, you start with the head coach, Willie Taggart, but I mean, I was very worried that if they were going to start doing that, which they did early on, and that Miami was going to sniff that out easily early on during the game, and I don't think that worked out well for them whatsoever. I think if they would have introduced that against Miami, I think Florida State would have had some offensive power, but that game wasn't even close. It wasn't competitive.
Logan, Miami is a much better beast than Syracuse was. And we all, and I said this last week.
That's why then you got to use that offensive scheme and introduce it against Miami.
It wouldn't have worked if we'd introduced it against Miami. Miami's defense was that much better than Syracuse. On Miami defense's worst day, they were light years ahead of what Syracuse could give on their best day on the defensive side of the ball. Cam Akers ran for 3 yards a carry. That I believe it's one of his lowest of the season so far, right there. Miami, this game was Miami came out, and let's give FSU a little bit of credit there in that game. They came back in the third quarter. They were down 17-3. They scored the touchdown. Hornibrook finds Akers for the touchdown. They scored it, and there was some back and forth there, and it looked like FSU might have a chance. And then it was like, okay, Miami scores the touchdown to go up 24-10, and it just literally you felt the air like a balloon just come out of the stadium. SEC dog, let's not even start with your conference. Your conference still has teams waving Confederate flags at games. Let's move on with your comments there. I'm trying to think of the right way to put this right here on this one. We could have run everything for the first time against Miami, and Miami still would have won that game against us. Miami was just a better prepared team than Syracuse ever could be. And I think that we got a little high and mighty, and I warned us about this last week. I said, we can't take what happened against Syracuse and think the same thing is going to happen against Miami, and that's exactly what happened. MarkRogersTV, your turn.
Okay. So when Willie Taggart was hired at Florida State as the head coach, I was pretty neutral on the hire, because there certainly have been successful coaches hired at other major programs that didn't have a illustrious track record when they were elevated to that type of position. Based on my evaluation, Willie Taggart did a nice job at Western Kentucky and at South Florida. Those are obviously Group of 5 schools, and the expectations and the amount that you have to take on and the responsibility and the magnitude is nothing close to what you see at Florida State, which is a top 10 to 15 job and at its peak, a top 5 job. What Willie Taggart did at Oregon, I was pretty neutral on that as well, because he went 7-5 in one season, and that's pretty much what the roster would have dictated at the time for any average coaching job at that particular time with that roster. If Nick Saban was there, or Urban Meyer, or somebody like that, I guarantee that team would have went 10-2 at least. Or if a bad football coach would have taken over, maybe worse than that. So I was pretty neutral on Willie Taggart. I don't believe that he earned a job the status of Florida State with his previous coaching performance. I don't think he earned that job. But there are other coaches in the past who have been put in charge of those type of programs without a illustrious track record, and it's worked out. Dabo Swinney on down the line. His performance at Florida State, I thought, was near deplorable. I made the statement before that I would have given him one more year, but I certainly do not fault, money aside, I do not fault Florida State for firing Willie Taggart. He was given basically 2 seasons. You might as well say that this season was lost anyway, despite 3 games left. Regardless of what would have been done, this season was lost. And this team failed to get better through 2 full seasons. They continue to be unprepared for each game, and we're losing to teams with inferior talent over and over and over and over.
So no. Hold on.
Labor Day night against Virginia Tech in game 1 and scored 3 points.
Right.
3 points against what turned out to be Bud Foster's worst defense in 30 plus years.
No.
That was going to be the same team we were going to see for the next 2 full seasons.
No, because if you're going to make,
because it never got better.
If you're going to make incorrect comments, I'm going to correct you on this one. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Can you tell me how this team has not gotten better when, aside, yes, the Miami game, Miami smoked us. I will 100% admit that. And Clemson is Clemson right now. We can talk about the playoff seeding or whatnot, but they're the Clemson Tigers. Yes, we got smoked by Virginia Tech last year. We got smoked by Syracuse last year. We got smoked by NC State last year. Got smoked by Notre Dame. Got smoked by Florida. Our losses this year to Boise State, Virginia, and Wake Forest, 3 losses by combined 14 points. Tell me how this team hasn't gotten better. I know that the wins and losses, part of the whole thing, is what everyone's going to look at. And like I said, I get why Willie Taggart did get fired. I get that the performance. If Florida State loses, let's say 27-24 to Miami or 17-14 to Miami, I think Willie Taggart is still the coach of the Florida State Seminoles. I think he is still the head coach heading to this week game against Boston College. The way they lost to Miami, the way they lost to their rival, one of their 2 hated in-state rivals, is why he got fired. Yes, I'm a liberal right here, this guy. But no,
I will use the term deplorable to describe the 2018 season. Yes, Jason, I will agree with you, because I've made the comment ever since they hit that game right in that stretch where they barely lost to Virginia, got the ball inside the 5-yard line, could have scored the game-tying touchdown, beat NC State, beat Louisville, played Wake within 2 points. I was saying, as you guys remember during that stretch, I'm seeing this football team improving. Mm-hmm. So yes, I do back off on that statement that they were deplorable last year and unprepared. They did show decided improvement. I don't think it was substantial. I don't think it was marked improvement. There is measurable improvement in the performance against the competition this year. I don't think there's any question. But again, he took over top 15 talent.
That 2017 team that he took over in 2018 was a top. I'm sorry, did you watch the 2017 season?
I did.
Football?
And they competed in every game except for Boston College. They competed against Clemson that year.
They competed against Alabama?
Yeah, I'd say a 10-7 game in the second half was competing. Yes, they were competing. And Alabama was Alabama. They won the national championship that year. That's not like losing to NC State or Wake Forest.
And there was no pass interference on that Nooney. That should have been the pass interference. That's where Florida State would have scored.
Let's also remember that was an Alabama team that couldn't even win the SEC West. So that wasn't even Alabama's best team.
They won the national championship. They lost one game.
I'm sorry. 2017 team was the beginning of the end, and that's why Jimbo Fisher gets way too much credit. And that was the true Jimbo Fisher right there. Just mark that down. Jason, your answer as well. Jason, you crazy. We are rebuilding now. First of all, I'm happy that this man spelled Willie Taggart correctly. Thank you, diehard Noel.
All right, I'm going to remind everyone this is Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, and this is our Florida State Seminoles live show each and every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And with over at one point 250 people on the line, we need a coach to get fired every week. So let's do that.
I'll hop up on Dayquil. Let's do this. Let's get this.
Yeah. Doesn't, and now that we have 250 people, how many likes are we looking at? Only 40? 43 likes. Can we not get that to 75 right now? Like the friggin' button. Smash that like button. Smash that like button. I'm all about growing audiences. I gotta be on Mark's good side.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the comment there, Logan, for having the guts to reality. Logan hasn't talked.
I've been saying just straight up. I know. I have a lot of Miami fans because I left a mark on them whenever we were last weekend, and I was saying that I don't like Miami more than the Gators, so they all are after me. So I enjoy it. It makes more for seeing comments like this. So make sure you guys are liking that. Can we get to like 100 likes? We have 250 people in here. I know you got an app. If you're on your phone, hit the like button. That'd be beautiful. We have 250 viewers. Probably a majority of them are Hurricanes fans.
250 viewers right this second. That means there's probably been like 600 or 700 people go through the stream at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, please like, comment in the live chat, comment for those of you who are going to be watching this after it records. And for those of you who have joined us live, but you're about 35 to 40 minutes late, the video will post. Watch what you missed, and certainly leave your comments, your likes, subscribe to the channel, and share it out on social media as well. This is Logan Robinson on the right side from Noel Game Day. Right in the middle, we've got feeling a bit under the weather, but a gamer, no doubt, Jason Parker from Chop Chat.
I just also want to point out really quick for the record that Scott Frost and Chip Kelly have worse records than Willie Taggart did at Florida State. Just throwing that out there real quick.
Scott Frost took over recruiting classes that were ranked in the 30 to 40 range.
And what the hell was
plays in a better conference?
And what was FSU's class before Willie Taggart came in and salvaged the 2018 class? It was in the 30s as well, and then Willie Taggart salvaged that class.
But he salvaged the class, and the class is on the roster, so it wasn't a 30-ranked class. It was a whatever it turned out to be after he recruited and signed those players.
Because he was a great recruiter. That's what he was. Listen, once again, for the third time, I get why he got fired. I disagree with doing it with 3 games left, and I get it. If Florida State, and I said this beforehand, if Florida State had another losing season, I would be the first person to say Willie Taggart has to go. I've said it here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, that Florida State had back-to-back losing seasons, that Willie Taggart should be fired as coach. I have a problem with him doing it with 3 games left in the season. Because what happens if, let's say in a perfect world, Florida State wins out their 3 regular season games they have left and wins their bowl game, and all of a sudden they're an 8-5 team. All of a sudden, all this talk about, oh, Florida State's a bad team, Florida State's a bad team, Florida State's a bad team, they're playing like crap, goes out the window.
Well, Vincent tells us it's going to be a rough one on Saturday for the BC Red Bandana game.
I hate those.
Yeah, that's something I was going to ask Jason, and we can talk about the next 3 games.
Oh, we're actually talk football?
Yeah, we're going to go back to talking football a little bit since there's still some. I mean, we'll spend like 30 more seconds on this, and then we'll get back to coaching. But Jason, this is for you. Do you think? I'm interested to see, because I think I know what the answer will be. But do you think under Willie Taggart they go to Boston College? He hasn't been let go. They go to Boston College. Does he have a better chance of winning that game against them up there, or now that he's let go, does he have a better chance under? I mean, he's still interim head coach, but without Willie Taggart, you got your 2 guys. You got Odell Higgins, and you've got Kendall Briles, and now that we heard today or yesterday that Jim Leavitt has been moved up. I mean, like he wasn't a coach already, but moved up to an on-field coach with Jim Leavitt. But what do you think? Under Willie Taggart, better chance of winning? Without Willie Taggart, better chance of winning?
I was trying to figure out where the hell that question was going there. Jesus, bro.
Yeah, I know what my answer is.
A couple of natty lights.
No, I haven't had any. I had one earlier when I was grilling. Natty ice.
I am concerned because of the fact that Odell Higgins' 2 games were against a Louisiana Monroe team with a losing record and a Southern Miss team that even Mark Rogers TV could have coached Florida State to a victory in that one. Sorry, Mark Rogers, I had to take a shot at you for that one. You hate Willie. Anyway, moving on. He hates Willie, people. He hates Willie Taggart. He's a hater. Moving on. Just kidding. Would I be more confident with Willie Taggart than I would with Odell Higgins? I'm going to say yes because of the fact that Boston College right now is a complete run team. That's what they have. And A.J. Dillon is an absolute stud at running back for the Eagles. But that's really what they have right now. And Florida State against Miami, they stopped them. They stuffed their run game. And unfortunately, Jaron Williams exposed the fact that Florida State's secondary is hot garbage. And he took advantage of it for throwing over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. The one side of the spectrum is, can Odell light the fire under them that there's still something to play for? Can this team still come out and win this game? I think Willie would have had a better chance to win outright, and we'll give our predictions later. I hope Odell can get this team motivated enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of feel that under Odell Higgins. He says some nice things in press conferences, doesn't he? And we've heard very good things about Odell Higgins from rumors and stuff that we've heard him on the field as a coach. He's a great mentor for these guys, and everybody that's been coached by him said he's a class act. He's a big motivator, and it's all about Florida State and the players there as just not players, but also students moving on from life and getting their degrees. And we'll see on Saturday, and we'll give our predictions for sure. But I do feel like there's a better chance of Florida State beating Boston College now that Willie Taggart has been let go. It's a difference though from how Jimbo Fisher left the program and what kind of motivation will be there, because when Jimbo Fisher was gone, a lot of these guys were fired up, pissed off, very extremely angry. This is a whole different flip-flop. Some players, from what we've heard, are very sad about losing Willie Taggart. You know, they lost not only a coach, but a close friend. But some, I think, aren't too affected by it, you know, and it's starting to kind of come public. I know you saw Warren Thompson's post on Instagram, his Instagram story, but we can chat real quick about that. But
don't give his mom any credit for anything. That is bogus BS right there to attack somebody after they're gone and whatnot. And by the way, the guy who I guess I'm not the logical one, but you're sitting there with your creatine picture looking like you're taking some steroids. Have fun. Enjoy your life. Steroid bath.
What did he say? What did that person say?
Something about you're the logical one and I'm the one who's really oblivious to the world. Right, because I pointed out the fact that the first full-time black head coach wasn't even given 2 seasons. Yeah, no. There's no racism. There's no racism in the South at all. No, none.
That's a true statement. Yes, there is racism somewhere in every state, city, county. It exists somewhere. Yes. But how do you know that had anything to do with this firing? We can't compare it to any other situation.
When you have the public relations nightmare that was created by boosters and big money boosters, it creates a world to where David Corbin and John Thrasher had to make this decision. Like I said, I don't think they fired Willie Taggart because he was a black coach with a 9-12 record. I think the pressure from very wealthy and possibly racist boosters was involved in that decision completely. We talked candidates already. Pay attention. What's the difference between Scott Frost, Chip Kelly, and Willie Taggart? What's the difference? What's the difference? Would you admit though? Let's be serious for 1 second. If Willie Taggart is going to get fired for going 9-12, that Chip Kelly should be fired for going 7-14 at UCLA.
I would say that
don't say UCLA
the expectations at Florida State should be higher and are higher than they are at UCLA. I would say that the roster at Florida State was not substantially better than UCLA's, but was better than what Chip Kelly had to inherit at UCLA. And I would say that Florida State, the fan base And the school, the alumni, the boosters, in raising more than $17 million, obviously care more about football than they do at UCLA. And when you care more, when you have more investment in the situation, the standards are going to be more stringent. So yes, Chip Kelly is given more of a leash at UCLA. That's just the way it is.
And I hope that those same boosters who reportedly raised $20 million in a week to fire Willie Taggart, to get Willie Taggart's buyout and get him fired, that they make sure to shell out the same amount of money to bring in these, quote, big name coaches that these players want. Oh, I want Bob Stoops to come in. Good. When he demands X amount of money, I hope that you open your checkbooks with the same gusto that you did to fire Willie. Because
I would think that they would.
If you don't, but that's the problem, is they haven't. The problem is that FSU boosters, for the most part, have been a let's sit in our checkbooks, let's sit in our wallets until a certain time comes, and a certain time just happened to come right now with Willie Taggart. So they're not going to open their checkbooks to bring in a big name coach. That's the problem. It's this delusional theory amongst the big money boosters at FSU, and I'm sure I'm attacking the FSU big money boosters, but I'm assuming it's the same way at Alabama, Ohio State, Florida, Miami. Miami, trust me, your fans are racing towards Randy Shannon. Let's get on past that for one moment there. It is, though, a level of there is a certain level of racism there, and it has to be exposed. And the problem is people who don't want to talk about it are people who it doesn't affect. And as an FSU alum, I care about Florida State more than a lot of other things, more than almost everything in the entire world, because I am so proud to be a Florida State alum. Florida State gave my parents, who are both children of immigrants, a chance to succeed in life. They gave me a chance to succeed in life, and I've done everything that I've wanted to do in my career and whatnot because I have my degree from Florida State University. So if Florida State goes 0-12 in football, or Florida State goes 12-0, I'm still going to be the biggest Seminole. I'm still going to be talking smack here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, for the rest of the time that Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, will have me. But I'm also going to expose the reality of the fact that there is a racist element to some of the big money boosters. That's just a fact. And it unfortunately, it's going to take.
I don't know that it's a fact. It's logical speculation. I will agree with that. It's logical that if you grab 100 people, that we can assume that some of them are racist.
Until, and I'm going to say it like this: until white males start to say there is a racist element out there, nobody's going to take it seriously.
And Jason, you do understand that I'm agreeing with you that there is a racist element in society. I'm just not pointing the finger at specific people unless they show themselves definitely to be racist. That's the difference. Okay. If we knew at this point next week that there would not be a head coach named at Florida State, I would say let's save that entire conversation for next week, because we're running out of time and we have yet to talk any football about, actually much about what happened against Miami, nor what's going to happen in Boston this weekend. And we would love to get to that. If you guys can guarantee me that there's not going to be a head coach named at Florida State until next Wednesday, and we can save the discussion for then we'll do that.
Okay,
Done.
I don't know.
Sure, sounds good.
Yeah. I don't know.
Who do you want to get this job, and who will get this job, Jason?
I want Mark Stoops. I absolutely want Mark Stoops, because I think Mark Stoops is somebody who FSU can afford, number one. Number two, I love what he did with the defense. Thank you, the original American. You're a genius. He completely revolutionized that defense. He built those guys. That 2013 defense was because of guys he recruited. And most importantly, and I know that Logan's not going to want to hear this because he's up in Tallahassee, he recruits South Florida. And you look at all of our great teams were guys from South Florida. That's what we need to get back. We need to win the state of Florida, specifically everything from essentially the turnpike, or not turnpike, but from I-4 South. Everything Orlando, Tampa, West Palm, Fort Myers, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Who would I like for Florida State to bring in as a coach? I do kind of like the way Bill Belichick coaches. I also do like Mike Tomlin. I think that would work very well, but that's just not the case right now.
So you have been drinking. Okay, good.
I wish. I need to start doing it more often. The Bob Stoops thing is, from what we've heard, or at least from our end, is a leading candidate. So I think it's worth talking about him just for a second. What this program needs, I think, is someone that's experienced, which, Mark is pretty experienced. And I understand your ways of wanting him to come in and be a coach for Florida State for sure. And his defensive mind, I think a better defense for Florida State is a big deal more than anything. But if you bring in Bob Stoops, obviously experience, he retired at 11-2 at Oklahoma. One thing that is scary for him coming in, I think, is recruiting. He's been out of the loop for a good amount of time, but I think the name is a national name. My roommate isn't that big on watching football, college football, and I said the name, and he automatically knew what it was, and I was actually pretty impressed with them. So I think recruiting that's something that still alerts me a little bit. But Bob Stoops' experience, if you have a head coach in waiting, which would be Kendall Briles, you keep Kendall Briles, you bring up Levitt as a defensive coordinator, then you kind of have a staff there to work with, which I think a lot of FSU fans would be extremely excited about. I think you'd grow a lot more in boosters, but the experience of Bob Stoops coming in for 3 to 5 years, I think, is a big deal. But if I could have any coach, it would be Mike Tomlin and Bill Belichick.
What about John Harbaugh?
Nope.
Oh, if you want a winner, just saying.
No.
Can we talk about the Ravens smacking the Patriots around this week?
Yeah. Well, see, my Steelers play y'all at the end of the year too, so I need a win on that so we can catch up with you guys.
I'm going to say it right now before we predict the Boston College game. If Bob Stoops is named the coach at Florida State, I will wear a Kent State football shirt and I will learn the Kent State fight song in honor of the most famous graduate of the Golden Flashes, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.
I would like to see that. So now I'm really hoping the sources are correct.
I'm not going to be able to teach you the fight song because I never learned it myself. Do you know how many Kent State games I attended in 4 years? Take a guess.
I'm going to say 5.
2. 1. Closer.
First year, orientation, week of orientation. The big time programs had yet to play. I was just locked into big time football, watch it at home. Don't want to go to the stupid games. I went to the game before Ohio State kicked off. The next week, they were on a bye week, hadn't started the season. So I went to the Kent State first week of my freshman year. I'm done. See ya.
You know how many FSU games, home games I missed in 4 years at school?
0?
Correct.
Okay.
And one thing real quick about Bob Stoops, I do think with his experience too, this program, it's all over national TV. I just got done watching First Take and they were talking about Willie Taggart and where the program is at. They need someone experienced that is running a program that is this large. Bob Stoops has done that. He has, like we already talked about, experience, recruiting. You want some offensive linemen? You want some big boys?
This is your logical. This is your logic, fans. This is the logical one who thinks we're getting a coach.
I didn't think. Well, we're talking about who I think would work. Who else is out there that has the most experience and has won a national championship?
Jason Parker. I plan on applying for the job. Can we talk about the Boston College game? Logan, we need a prediction. Go. Kent State lost last week.
Let's see. Prediction wise, I think. I don't know. I don't think Florida State is going to make a bowl game this year. I have already predicted Florida State to lose to Florida. I'm going to that game. Should be fun. I think Florida State. I don't know. I mean, even before the Miami game, we talked about it earlier last week too. The whole Boston College effect of going there. At least it's a noon game, but still, I mean, just something about going up there and traveling that far. Florida State has a rough time showing up and playing. Usually takes them a couple quarters to get back into it. I'm going to go Florida State. 17, Boston College 23.
You're a traitor.
I'm always a traitor.
You are. I don't understand why. Florida State has, and we've talked about this, Florida State has more talent than Boston College. Florida State has better, I would argue, I know Steve Adazio is, coach there for the Eagles, but I would say Florida State has better coaching than Boston College. The question is, does Florida State have more heart than Boston College? I get that it's the red bandana game. I get that it's all that other stuff. I get that A.J. Dillon ran for, I believe it was 243 yards last week as they blew out Syracuse. But we all know what happens when your offense does well against Syracuse. You come out the next week and play like hot garbage. I think FSU's rush defense, if they can stop A.J. Dillon, I think FSU will win this game. So I'm going to ride with my alma mater one more time.
Oh, one more. Whoa, not against Alabama State?
Oh, hold on. No, Alabama State, we've got that one. We'll be fine on that one.
Not your last time. Okay.
Yeah, shout out to the Hornets there on that one. We'll be fine there. I'm going to say Florida State 28, Boston College 24.
You can get my weekly college football predictions down in the description section below next to the link of Voice of College Football Community. You unfortunately can't see that link right this second, but if you go to any of the videos and the description section, the link there next to Voice of College Football Community, as Jason was pointing out. If Jason would ever get us a sponsor, we could sponsor a comment of the night. And I believe this would be it right here. Jordan Callahan. It's simple. Just hire Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, for the FSU job.
Sorry. See, we're a power program. We don't hire mid-major coaches. Sorry.
And Florida State basketball tips off in 2 minutes. I believe a guy from the part of my take, Joe, blah, 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 predicted Florida State to be in the Final Four, or a bold prediction. So they tip off in 2 minutes at Pittsburgh. So it's basketball season, right?
It is basketball season, but we don't talk basketball here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. I will ask each of you, in the remaining 3 games, what would you like to see besides the obvious wins? What is going to make you feel good about this future?
Heart. I want to see FSU play with heart. And do I in my heart, do I think Florida State will go 3-0? Sure. In my head, do I think that they're going to finish 2-1? Of course. But I want to see them play with heart, and I really do want Odell to do well. I do want Odell to succeed, but that they're not going to do it without heart.
Yeah, playing hard is going to be the big factor in this one. I think Odell Higgins will do a good job of that. He represents Florida State University very well, and he is the right person for the job to do this. But playing for that logo is going to be a big deal the next 3 weeks, because it's still going to be a wild ride. We still got the rest of the month of football to be played, and for Florida State.
You've made your way to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, and we talk Florida State with these 2 gentlemen each and every Wednesday night, so please lock it in, and remember to come on back next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with Jason Parker from Top Chat.
Oh, Jesus.
Logan Robinson from Noel
I'm a
Game
heart
Day.
attack.
Oh, before we go, by the way, I haven't said it today yet, so I'm going to say it right now. Mazel tov. Go ahead.
Oh, man.
We almost made
did it.
I should have just ended it right there.
Almost.
And of course, join the throng of 15,000 right here and subscribe to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And for you old timers, please like, comment, share the videos, and subscribe to keep me going, and so I can bring on these fine 2 gentlemen each and every week as well. You guys enjoy the game, and hopefully a win for the Seminoles, unless I pick Boston College, of course. All right, you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.
See you next week.